I have only one complaint about this week's episode. Too little Aubrey Plaza. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Car has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have Merv. How are you?
Fantastic.
Voice only, we have Mr. Lord Deathman. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
We have the original, Mr. Taylor First. How are you?
I'm magical.
That's good. And you, Lokismom, are you magical?
Oh, I'm doing very magical, my pretties.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about episode 6 of Agatha All Along. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, join our forum at sacar.freeforms.net. Set up that account, get to know us, and you can join us in our shows. Just click on the link in the description, people. This is your final warning. After this point, we are spoiling it. So if you haven't seen this week's episode yet, do that first and then check out our review. Well, this week is kind of the week for backstories on secondary characters. And it may be a coincidence that DC and Marvel did the same this week, but I noticed. Did you, Taylor?
Yes, I noticed that very much, that they're definitely coordinating. It's a conspiracy, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, James Gunn and Kevin Feige, thick as thieves.
Mm-hmm.
But did you like this week's episode?
I did. I like this episode very much. Answered a lot of questions. You know, I'm not a big mystery box guy, so I'm glad we got that mystery box out of the way and we can continue on with the story. But it was really good. It was a good episode.
Mm-hmm. Last week you were saying, I hope it's not too convoluted how they explain Wiccan, Billy Maximoff. Pass your judgment.
I think they did it, made it about as simple as they could. Apparently, the consciousness of Billy Maximoff, which was created by Wanda when the hex broke, it was just a right place, right time, perfect situation that he was able to go into the body of this young man who passed away at the same moment. And I don't know if the fact that he was also into magic played any role into it or not, but if they had to if they were dead set on bringing him back, I guess they did about as good a job as they could without making our heads spin trying to figure it out.
Lokismom, did you like this week's episode?
Yes, I did. It really explained a lot to people who, like, I'm not familiar with the comic book characters, so I didn't really know how these things could play out. So I think it explained a lot of Billy and is trying to find Tommy. I guess that's how it's going to wind up. But yeah, it was we're missing all the other actors basically. I mean, it just almost all him till we get to where he's. Then they backplay the whole first scene where they meet in the first episode, and that explains that a lot more. And so going forward, I think at this point we know what it is. We don't have to wait till the last episode to find out what the whole road thing is about. But hopefully, I hate that all the other characters are gone, but I'm pretty sure they'll be back in some shape or form. And I'm starting to think that maybe the women, all these other witches, that they're all in on the thing too, but somehow, some way. But yeah, I think I overdid that, but okay.
Let's see. Lord Deathman, not the biggest Wiccan fan, I think, if I remember correctly from last week. How did you like it?
I like this episode a lot. I thought it was extremely well done. I do think that we've reached a new height for the series. So there's that. everything about this episode is pretty good. There's criticisms that I can level against it that I will go into in the deep dive, but they really don't have anything to do with the show, and they don't really have much to do with the MCU at all. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, I am not a fan of Wiccan, and this episode really just didn't change my mind about anything about it. But there was an episode of WandaVision, I think, where it's a Monica centric episode, and I think it kind of tracks her progress waking up from the blip, if I'm not mistaken. And this
Episode
episode
4.
very much, it reminded me, it was kind of like a companion piece to that episode. I think that was one of my favorites in WandaVision, and this one is one of my favorites in Agatha.
Hmm. Yeah, I do start to feel like the Westview Hex is like the Battle of New York for the multiverse verse saga, because everything revolves about that around that. But anyway, Merv, this week's episode, what did you think?
I liked it. Um, Obviously, a lot of things were revealed and a lot of information gathered. I thought we, maybe, I don't know, could have maybe spent a little less time in Billy's backstory and moved the current plot along a little further than where it left off. But that's a minor criticism, really. I liked it a lot that we got here, and like Taylor, I'm not a huge fan of these long-standing mysteries and revealing everything at the last minute, where the reveals have no impact because you're in a big boss battle or whatever the situation may be. So I'm glad that we're revealing it now, even though I have several questions like, are Billy and original Billy two different people? Are they officially, or is there any carryover there? Because I felt like we spent a lot of time getting to know original Billy to just kill him off in a car accident. It seems a little like, okay, well, what was the point of all that? But yeah, I like this episode.
Good. Lord Deathman, you had some minor criticisms, you say, but they didn't have anything to do with the show or the MCU. So I'm curious, what are your criticisms?
Well, I think Jack Schaefer's work on this series is nearly unimpeachable. She's telling a really compelling story, and I think that this episode kind of taking a more dramatic turn to kind of walk us through, I guess, Teen's origin and his backstory. I think they did a really great job with that. My only problem with this is that if you are a comic book reader, and maybe even if you aren't at this point, Wiccan and Speed's origins become one of the most convoluted situations in terms of how it unfolded in the comic books, if not the most convoluted origin of Marvel characters in terms of the circumstance of their birth, their parentage. Um, and for me, the character of Wiccan in the comic books has not really registered as much more than kind of like not even a second generation now that I think about it, but a third generation Nepo baby, because the Scarlet Witch and her brother are the children of, or at least they were at some point, the children of a pretty heavy duty character. So I feel like Wiccan had kind of coasted on that reputation of I'm the son of the Scarlet Witch. And then they tried to like walk that back and say he had this whole origin that was separate of her. And again, it's like I just have never really felt that anything about that character in the comic books is earned. That most of it just comes from, oh, he was the Sorcerer Supreme, and I'm great. I don't feel like I know anything about the character's personality from the comic books. Is very inconsistent. And while this episode makes a valiant effort to try and win me over to Camp Wiccan, and I am very happy for all the Wiccan fans who are getting exactly what they want out of this corner of the MCU and getting what they want from the character. This is not like a hate campaign or anything like that. I just think that what detracted from a great execution on the episode is my general disinterest, bordering on dislike for the Wiccan character. But in terms of moments that really stood out to me in the episode, I really like the way they handled his telepathy, in terms of that becoming like really intrusive and him trying to understand the power and his identity and how he sets forth on these investigations. A lot of that stuff can kind of come off as like Nancy Drewish, where characters seem a little too smart and too aware of what's going on. But you really do follow him on what is a genuine mystery that doesn't really get any real resolution or a clarification until he meets the Boner character, who it was just great. That was a pleasant surprise. I didn't hear about it. I wasn't spoiled on it, so it was great to have him come back and kind of share the trauma that he experienced under Agatha's reign. I thought that was both funny and honestly a little sad and a little tragic. The way he kind of put it out there and how he'd been reduced to this fringe conspiracy theorist type person after having what seemed like a relatively healthy life before Agatha, before he ever crossed paths with Agatha. And yeah, I could go on and on, but really the practical sets continue to impress. Again, the acting is really great. I think they paid off, not just clarified, but paid off a lot of mysteries from the very beginning of the series, which I always love it when you can do that in an organic way. And it's and they paid off some stuff from WandaVision. It was like, here's a double payday, guys. We put a bonus in there for you. So it's my favorite episode of the series, ironically, despite the fact that it centers on a character that I really don't have much affinity for.
Okay. Merv, any negatives on this week's episode?
Yeah, just like I already mentioned, I think I have some mixed feelings about getting to know original Billy and then killing him and then replacing him, and I'm not sure where the lines are drawn as far as personalities go, because we did actually spend very little time with either character, honestly, at this point in the MCU overall, to even know who Wanda's son really is at heart, outside of the character that we know in the show. If I have one other one, and it's one I didn't really expect until after I watched this episode, but the confirmation that Teen's backstory is what it is really separates him from Agatha's backstory in my head right now. In there was a lot of ties whenever they were flirting with the idea of Teen being like her son, and really like peeling back the layers of Agatha's history and her character. And I'm mildly worried that this is going to become Teen's story or Wiccan's story at this point, and Agatha's going to be like like she was here in the beginning, and now, I mean, obviously she's going to be here, but like how much of it's going to be her story at this point moving forward.
Yeah.
I feel like the bigger gulp is going to be Wiccan trying to find Speed, or Tommy, Billy and Tommy.
So you're a bit afraid that Agatha Harkness is becoming a secondary character in her own show.
Kind of. That's my fear. And even in this episode, obviously we see her at the very end, and I thought she was great in the very end. But throughout the episode, it's like, okay, well, is this his story now? Like, and it's something I honestly wished for coming in, because I was kind of like hoping this would be a backdoor to like a Wanda resurrection or something, but it seemed like we're not getting that, but we are getting like a Billy Tommy situation. But now that I'm in it, I'm kind of like almost wishing that I obviously felt that there's going to be more Agatha here, like we were going to actually get to really sink our teeth into her character, because I've really enjoyed her for the past however many episodes, 5-6 episodes. So that's the only like worry, I guess, in the back of my head. I wouldn't even call it a criticism for this episode, but maybe as a series looking back, I'm gonna look at this episode as like the turning point for it could have been this, but it turned into something different.
Be careful what you wish for, you might get it.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, before I move to Taylor, Lord Deafman, you had a follow-up.
Yep, I just also wanted to mention that I am genuinely, and I'm not ashamed to admit, but 100% confused about what Billy actually is. Right? So he seems I thought they were going to go in the direction of him sort of being a Westview zombie, where an actual citizen of Westview became Wanda's son, right? But this is something completely different. She seems to have manufactured two children, at least spiritually, from whole cloth, and then had them possess the bodies of Westview children. Then, when Westview collapsed, those spirits escaped and found other vessels. I'm confused, but I'm willing to let it go because of the strength of the drama of the episode, and I'm going to give them a chance to sort of bring this into focus as we progress in the series. Now, I could be the dumb one, and I might have just missed a few details, and it all really does make sense. But the MCU origin for this character is nearly as convoluted as it is in the comic books. So I'm not sure whether to applaud Jack for that, or to slap her on the wrist, because she is staying true to the source material.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have any criticisms? Maybe we get a Tommy and Billy resurrection, but we also got a Ralph Boner resurrection.
Yeah, well, I was glad that Ralph Boner showed up, and I agree with Lord Deathman how it was important to show that he was just this regular guy whose life has been completely destroyed by these witches, both Wanda and Agatha to some degree, but him mostly Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Billy goes, if I remember right, because Lord Deathman was just asking, if I remember correctly from WandaVision, I'd have to rewatch it. But at the end, when the Hex was dying, didn't the boys just disappear? In other words, I don't think they were not the bodies of Westview's children. They were created completely out of Wanda's mind, just like Vision was created completely out of Wanda's mind, and they disappeared. But apparently, the consciousness or the soul or the essence, whatever, of Billy was somehow, when the Hex collapsed, was somehow able to occupy this real boy who was outside of the Hex. I guess he lived just outside of Westview, or just outside of the affected area.
Eastview.
And what?
He lived in Eastview.
Eastland. Okay, he lived in Eastview.
Yeah.
Okay, I should have known. Okay, so he was right next to Westview in Eastview. And somehow, and again, they'll probably never explain this, and it would be total bollocks if they did try to explain it, but somehow Billy's mind went into this boy's dead body at the moment of his death in the car accident. And like I said, it's pretty interesting that as soon as when he got back to the house and went into the boy's room, the boy's into magic. He's a Harry Houdini fan, who was also Jewish, by the way. But he also had Wizard of Oz related memorabilia in his room, so he was the perfect fit for a witch boy to go into. So that worked out really well. Now the other thing is that even Billy Maximoff didn't remember who he was. It's not like he had all of his old memories. No, he didn't remember anything. He made that pretty clear a couple of times, and it was his search for answers about himself that led him to Agatha. And I really liked the scene of him researching Agatha Harkness and witchcraft and stuff on the internet. There's some cool little tidbits in there. I'd like to watch it in slow motion to catch them all next time. But I thought that was really good. But now he knows that he's Billy Maximoff, so his memories, or at least his knowledge of who he is, has come back. And now he's looking for his brother Tommy, and I don't know what they're going to do there. I hope it doesn't get even more convoluted.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping it's not like a Wonder Woman 1984 situation.
Exactly.
Remember that body possession that turned out to be a rape case. But anyway,
I'm saying, I'm just hoping it's not another person died at the exact moment and Tommy went into that person. So now we have both of them. So yay, we can have Young Avengers. Why do we need Young Avengers? We have so many characters already in the MCU. We don't need Young Avengers. We have so many storylines. We have so many storylines already in the MCU that are just dangling out there that we need to tie up. They'll all be 40 by the time we need to get to the Young Avengers.
Yeah, but at the end of the Marvels, they made a promise: we are getting the Young Avengers.
So that's why they need Wiccan and Tommy, because otherwise the Young Avengers was going to be a 100% girls club, because that's all the young characters they have are all teenage girls at this point. So they needed to bring some boys in.
Yeah.
But as far as this show goes, it's going great. I'm totally entertained. I'm really enjoying it. Agatha is still Agatha. She's terrible. I don't know about the other two witches who went in the mud. They suggested that they were dead. I have a feeling that those two might be alive. I don't think the other two are coming back, though. I don't think Alice and Mrs. Hart are going to be back. I think they're dead. But since Agatha got out of the mud, I don't see why the other two couldn't survive in the mud also. And we still don't know what Rio's up to. So I want him to get back on the road and start moving and see what happens next.
Yeah, and Rio has a thing for dead bodies that was
Yeah.
mentioned before. So I wonder if they can resurrect, if she can resurrect some people. But before I move to Loki's mom, Merv had a follow-up.
Yeah, just in regards to what they're going to do with Tommy, I mean, I just noticed that Ralph Bodnar is not really using his body to the utmost ability, and it would make sense for a super speedy character to, you know, I hope they don't do that, but that, you know, that's where I thought.
That would be horrible. That would be actually horrible. Loki's mom, do you have any criticisms that were not mentioned before? Or you agree with the criticisms mentioned before, or you don't have any criticisms at all?
The only one is the kind of dawned on me that, oh heck, here come Young Avengers, and
Mhm.
and I'm not one of the big fans of that either. But as far as being an all now, they do have young old junior, so
Mhm.
it's not all girls.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
they have Isaiah Bradley's grandson, and they have Hulk's son. So
No
yeah,
one wants to remember Hulk's son or see that character again. No.
I don't know, but they. Yeah.
There's a little Loki somewhere over in the void. Maybe hopefully they can draw him out, and that'd be fun to see that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and they have that guy that inherited the wings from Sam Wilson, so they have options for male Young Avengers.
absolutely, yeah. So let's hear it for the boys.
Yeah,
But anyway, other than just that aspect of it, now I really did like it. Now we're also forgetting that, and by the way, I love the Ralph's cameo. I wasn't expecting that at all. It was just like, because he was one of my favorite characters from the WandaVision series. So yeah, just seeing him again was great. And of course, he's just been driven bonkers, and so hopefully we'll see more of him at some point. But anyway, no, the Patty LaPone character. Now she's the one who wrote the sigil. So even though she's buried in the mud, she apparently she started the whole thing off, and he wouldn't have been. Maybe Billy Kaplan or William Kaplan wouldn't have been possessed by Billy if he hadn't had that sigil in his pocket that he didn't know he had. He only found it when he got home. So yeah, that we're forgetting that aspect of it. So that's going to. I'm sure that's going to factor into what's going on with the whole thing. So we have to remember that the title of it is Agatha All Along, and of course comes from the fact that it was Agatha All Along who was manipulating the Scarlet Witch inside the hex. But who is it all along here? Is it Billy all along that's controlling the situation? But is it someone else? I think maybe that's something we're going to have to find out at the very end. But yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, I hated not seeing the other characters. Like I totally agree, Aubrey Plaza. More Aubrey Plaza. I'm sure we'll get her back. But other than that, it was just a wonderful episode. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think the complaints about I'm speaking as someone who like as I said before, unfamiliar with the characters totally. So I'm learning all these characters now, and what I see I like. So I don't have any objections to this character versus the comic book canon, because I think there's always room to grow for everything and change in the Marvel universe.
Be careful, the fandom menace can come after you.
Well, yeah, they can come after me. I got my own little skills and whatnot, and powers.
Oh,
Bring them on.
okay. But anyway,
Sorry.
that will be sorry. Okay. Lord Deathman, you had a follow-up.
Just a quick one. I was also very pleased to get, even if it was a backhanded reference to Vision in this particular episode, because I hope we're not forgetting about that character.
No, I always enjoyed the Vision. Lokismom, I interrupted you. Did you have anything else to add?
No, other than I think there's still a lot more going on that we don't know yet. It's not over with, even though I think it's a big climax or big. It's peaked at this point. I think it's heading toward the end. So, and I love the fact that if you notice, we're here at the very end, and all the leaves have turned yellow. So now we're on the yellow leaf road.
No, not a yellow brick road. Anyway, Taylor, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, of course. There was the Vision reference. There was also a reference to the Avengers in this episode. But I also just wanted to swing back that one of my favorite scenes in this episode was we got to see the interrogation scene from Billy's perspective. And we see just how completely nuts Agatha was while she was under that spell. She wasn't even hearing what he was saying. The words that she was hearing were not were not even the same thing that he was saying. And it was quite a funny scene seeing her there sitting in her t-shirt acting like she's a cop in a interrogation room.
Yeah, well acted, by the way. Well acted. Yeah. It was totally believable that she believed that she was a cop. Wow. Yeah, it was great. Lokismom, you had a follow-up.
Yes, I do. What I liked about this episode was that we got to see a little bit of the regular human beings stuck on planet Earth with all the Avengers and all this magic and everything that's going on. And one of the biggest complaints about this whole series, everything that's been going forward with the whole sagas and everything, is I don't think they go there that much. And I think I think they could really do a lot as far as showing what people are struggling when they're going through all this stress, things that they don't understand. That the world has been turned upside down. It's and people are really struggling with trying to what's real and what's not real. So I wish that they would speak a little bit more to that, because I think with the audience it could help a lot of people.
Yeah. I think that's an idea that's been floating around on the board and surfaces from time to time as well. An everyday man piece in the MCU, that would be great. Well, I think it's time to rate episode 6 of Agatha All Along. I'm gonna start with you, Merv.
I'll go with an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed backstory and, gave us a lot of information.
You're still glad you got the show?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. When shows are done well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I want, as long as they show up.
Okay. You can thank the next champion. I'm gonna ask for a rating. Taylor.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Lord Deathman.
I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10.
Lokismom.
8.5.
I'm going 8 out of 10. Love this episode. I actually really enjoyed the reveals, but I do hope the last 3 episodes are gonna give us a good finale, because we're ready for it. 3 more episodes to go. We're in the third act, people. That will conclude this week's review of Champions for episode 6 of Agatha All Along. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out. Like and share this video. Subscribe to our channel. And join our forum at sucardofreeforms.net. We would love it if you do that. Next week, we will be back to talk about episode 7. And you can check out our review series for the Penguin as well. And a new episode for the Star Trek project, dealing with season 1 of the Next Generation, is also on the way. So for now, I want to thank you all, also on behalf of our champions, and wish you to be magical. Bye.